Alright, let's get right into it. So today I'm bringing y'all a different type of video, not necessarily, but pretty much, long story short, this was recorded on OP-05 meta, not OP-06. This match took place like in between 2 to 3 weeks ago. But I just really wanted to showcase it on my page because it is against this player named Thomas. I've matched up against him up to today 3 times now, and he's beaten me all 3 times. So I definitely remember somebody when I lose to them, and this dude beat me 3 times. So he's pretty good, man. The 2 times that I matched up against him, he plays red green law, and if y'all don't already know, we play that red purple law. So it's a law versus law, 2 different play styles, kind of similar. You know, we both got the ability to shambles, but you know, 2 different play styles for sure. Yeah, so this was actually the 2nd time that I faced Thomas. Spoiler alert, you know, telling you in the beginning that I haven't beat him yet, but I just really wanted to showcase this game because I feel like it was definitely a teachable moment for myself to look back on and kind of, you know, see what I did right, see what I did wrong. And you know, adapt going into the new set. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our opponent goes first and he puts down a chopper blocker, 1 cost, passes it to me, draw 2 Dawn. Let's see what we start cooking up. So off rip, I want to clear out people's boards, right, as red purple law, and red green law puts out so many characters so quick in the game. He puts down a bunch of low-cost characters, and you know, he fills out the board, and that's kind of what I struggle mainly in this game. As I think back on it, I just felt like super wide board, pretty menacing, and yeah, I'll let y'all see what happens. So he has a full board right here, or not full board. He's building up to a full board, 3 characters, and I just have the Gordon. So you know, thinking on if I want to just save Gordon and just shambles out 1 thing and, you know, save him for a bigger body. So here I just sent 5 and he just takes the resource. He takes a life. Let's see what else I cook up here. Resting 4 Dawn. Bring out Aight. And there we go. So we get the double Aight play. The double Aight, you know, take 1 thing out, add 1 Dawn rested, add a 2nd rested. So in the end, instead of shambling for -3, I essentially do it for -1. I'm learning more and more as I play though, guys, that the turn 2 shambles is really only ideal if you can hit Aight into Penguin. That way you negate your shambles cost. You know, if it's -3 and you shambles with Aight, you bring in +1 and Penguin gives you +2. So that's the 3 that you throw away, you're getting it back immediately. So that's kind of what I'm learning now. So even like the Aight into Aight or the Aight into Beppo and stuff like that, it's cool, but I feel like if you don't have the Aight into Penguin, it just feels a little shittier, a little worse as you progress into the mid game. Okay, so our opponent fills out his board here, and let's see what happens here. He decides to use his leader ability. Alrighty, so yeah, our opponent fills out his board and he shambles to bring and he brings in his law. So let's get it. Sitting at 2 life here, we got 5 Dawn up, and we have a Gordon already on the field. So if the kid is in hand, this is definitely a kid play. Obviously want to remove that Zoro is the threat, and that law as well. So let's see what we end up doing here. So I set 1 Dawn aside. Let's see. Sometimes what I've been working on is like trying to throw off my opponent with like how I spread my Dawn out. Like, because at first I noticed that I would be like, you know, letting myself be read by like for example, if you look at my Dawn right now, it looks like I have 4 in 1. So it's like a Gordon and then a 4 into a 4 with shambles. So I just thought it was interesting to kind of like see that, and then of course change it and use it into my favor. So picked up on it there, and now in my recent matches I've been like more conscious of like manipulating it a little bit, like funky, to kind of make people think I have other things in hand. So we're just sending some attacks here. Seeing what we're up to. Our opponent here is seeing what he wants to do. If he wants to take the attack, or okay, so he takes a card, sitting at 1 life, and I use Gordon effect to subtract Law by 3,000, and I use -3 Dawn leader effect Shambles to remove him and bring in Beppo. On play, add 1 Dawn, set it is rested. So we removed both threats on the field, the Zoro and the Law, pretty nicely. But the way Red Green Law works is he just fills up that board, and if he has even 1 big body, he can pretty much fill out the board just as fast, and put those threats right back onto the field. And then it's pretty much on me to see if I could remove both of them again. So let's see what we end up doing here. Our opponent uses 2 Jewelry Bonnies. He searches. As y'all saw right there, he picked up the Law, and then he picked up the Rush Luffy here. So now I know what he has in hand, at least for those 2. He is sitting in a pretty large hand count, so definitely going to be tough to to kind of try to go for the finish. Presumably he has a bunch of counter in his hand right there, so just the nature of the searches, just adding the cards to hand. So he swings, we block out. Let's see here. He rests his Makino, and he gets +3 to Chopper, and it gives him an extra 1 to put him at 5. And I give it 2k. Uses leader effect, Shambles of his own. He removes Makino and he brings in Law. And Law bounces 1 of the Jewelry Bonnies back to his hand, and he can play something else. And he brings out the Brook. On play, he grabs 2 of his rested Dawn, and he attaches them to a different character. And you saw there, he added them to his who's that? I can't see it. It's upside down. It's the mom from Luffy's village. Dadan, I think that's her name. Okay, so we're going here. We move into our turn. So pretty much as y'all saw, he probably didn't have any. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say he didn't have any other plays. He definitely had other plays. Look at all the cards he has in his hand. But he opted to just attach his Dawn, swing with his low cost characters, and get some more value out of them other than just sitting there. You just saw, he's attacking with his blocker. He's attacking with his Dadan. So I put a Dawn on Beppo, swing 6 to Bonnie. I see 3 rested characters on the field, so I think my main objective is to just try to get rid of all the rested ones and then Shambles a 4th one. So actually, no, I opt to not do that. I try to go for the finish here. So I send 6 his life. If he blocks it with that Law, he could. Oh, Gamma Knife comes out. Oh Lord. Okay, so the Gamma Knife comes out. Give -5,000 to his blocker, -1 Dawn for that. And I Shambles his blocker directly under his deck. So that was the Shambles play. And I attached the last Dawn to my film, and I sent 6. We removed 2 of his threats. Well, the main threat was the Law. We Shambles it. And we sent 5 with our last attack to Chopper, getting rid of his blocker right there. So yeah, 3 of his weapons are down. We are doing a pretty good job of keeping him at a low board. So every time he has to rebuild it up, use Dawn to actually play the cards that are going to allow him to Shambles. So, but as you can see, we're quickly running out of Dawn ourselves. We don't have the Penguins in hand to play them to get that +2/+2. +2/+2, if we hit all 4, luckily. But yeah, we are trying to hang in there as much as we can, playing the battle of trying to rush him down early, and not let him get into his late game comfort zone. So he sends 5 here. I'm debating on if I want to Nope, Beppo, he's gone. Okay, so he takes one of our characters out. He sends 5 at law with his Brook, and I decide to give it up. I have 2 cards in hand, so kind of want to keep my place for the following turn up. He uses his Shambles leader effect, bounces the Brook that just attacked, and brings out the Law. Let's see what else our opponent cooks up here. He uses his Law effect to bounce the Dadan and bring Dadan right back. So Dadan lets you search your deck, and he brings out the Makino. And he passes turn to us. So he has 1 active Dawn left. It's our turn. We have 4 Dawn available now. Here our opponent is at 0 life, and it looks like maybe 7 cards in hand. Probably 7 or 8. So pretty rough for us. Hoping to get some blockers to try to extend to maybe 1 or 2 more turns to ramp up our Dawn to try to go for a finish through all those cards in his hand. So I reduce his Law by 2, and then I send 6 to his life. He counters out for 2k. And 7 to his life, and he blocks with Capone, and he passes. I didn't want to Shambles here because if I would have Shambles, I would have been pretty much at 1 Dawn to end the turn. So pretty much what my thought process there was, like, I'll reduce his Law, and then if he decides to block with it, he can just block with it, and then I can get him off the board. But he chose not to. He had enough cards and had to counter out, and he had the blocker right there too. So here he just starts doing red-green Law things. He brings his Law out, restands, and then he sends a final 12-2 leader, and that is game right there. That was that. At the end there, our opponent, he had some. Yeah, it was a pretty nice match, to learn from for sure. I feel like, maybe I shouldn't have Shambles early. Maybe just save it to ramp up a little bit. Just in general, I feel like I just struggle when I'm facing decks that fill out the board too fast. Like Uta sometimes, whenever she can get her combo off and just fills up the board, and then I could only really remove 1 to 2 things at a time, depending on how many of their characters are rested. I feel like that's when I struggle the most, especially when I don't hit like my Gordons and stuff, or any of my reducers. So like I said, this was an OP-05. I since then have definitely revamped and retouched and looked at the ratios again, and fixed the holes in my strategy. So we decided to run it right back. He took the dub. This was in a tournament, our local tournament at Spellhold Games. Yeah, so he took the win. We had like probably 15 minutes left, so we just decided to run it right back. So here I mulliganed. Typically the way that I play Law is like I try to get that Penguin in the first 5 cards that I draw, just because he allows me to try to get that turn 1 or that 2 turn Shambles ain't into Penguin, or just he's definitely the Dawn ramping MVP out of all the Dawn ramping cards that we do have. So I always try to get him on mulligan. So our turn, we draw 1 and we pass. Let's see what happens here. And he brings out 2 of his characters. And yeah, so he brings out the Chopper, and then he brings out the little dude, which I believe if you rest him, you could like search or play another card. That's 1 cost, I believe. I'm not too familiar with it, but I think that's what it does. Yeah, so he passes to us, and then we swing 7, and he takes. And I use my leader ability to take out Chopper, and I bring in, looks like Penguin. Yep, so brought out the Penguin. That was a pretty aggressive Shambles now that I look back at it. Damn. Yeah, so I feel like if I would have had a Zoro or like another of my 3 costs in hand, I would have swung 5 with leader, summoned the 3 costs, Shambles Chopper, and still brought in Penguin. So I figured, you know, just attach. I can see right now I had some kids, Beppo. Definitely didn't have enough to, or have the card that I wanted, so opted to swing 7 Shambles, bring in Penguin. Next turn we'll be at 4 Dawn. Make some more plays. So let's see what happens here. Our opponent swings 6 at our life, and we take. And he brings out 2 Otamas to reduce our Stretching Penguin to 1,000 and brings in a Robin to KO. Because Robin on play KOs a character of 1,000 or less. Pretty nice combo right there. Pretty sweet. He did use 2 2Ks for that. So, you know, he seemed like it was worth. And, you know, looking at it, I would say it was worth. He pretty much made my Shambles not feel that as great because I can't swing with Penguin next turn. So now I have 0 people on the field, 4 Dawn. Let's see what we cook up here. I rest 4. Ooh, spicy! I swing 9 to leader. Okay, I did not see that coming. Damn, what was I thinking? I must have felt some energy in there. Or I probably just had a really bad hand. I do know I have a couple kids, a Beppo, and I think an Otama. So I don't think any other play really was calling to me. So I guess I just swing big there. All right, cool. So our opponent brings out Bonnie, draws a card, takes out the Otama with the Law, and plays a Dadan from his hand. So Dadan gets that Nami. And yeah, our opponent is just, you know, seeing what he wants to see. He had a nice little double Otama into Robin play right there. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Nice to know that, you know, it exists. Using the Otamas offensively like that. I like it. And right here, our opponent gives us some advice. He says like, oh, you shouldn't pitch out a card in your hand. You should take the life. You should take the resource because he says I'm at no threat of dying. So instead of just giving a card, just take the card. And also looking back at it, like I have no board established. Like the more cards I have in my hand, the better chance I'm gonna get to, you know, bounce back into this game. So we're thinking about what we want to do here.
Essentially, taking that life saves you 2 cards.
So our opponent right here says taking a life saves you 2 cards because he says you're taking another one. So pretty much saving the card I throw away and getting an extra card. So definitely stuck with me. Ever since that moment, I've been more comfortable with like getting down to, you know, 2 life, 1 life. As long as I, you know, have the stuff in hand to, you know, protect me, like blockers and stuff like that, which I do run a lot of them. So I reduce his Law by 2. And then I hit him with the Fire Fist to KO it. And I use Shambles leader ability -3. And I bottom deck his Robin.
This doesn't do much to you. It's not this one. This doesn't do.
Okay, so our opponent actually is giving us a tip. He says you don't want to Shambles a Robin. He says you want to Shambles either the Otama or the Dadan because he was explaining to me that it's just a more valuable card to bottom deck because he could always take the Otamas and bring them back to his hand with his Law, and the Dadan is a searcher, so he could, you know, bring it back up and then you know, play it to be able to search for another 2K. So giving me some tips right there, definitely appreciate it. He was pretty much telling me, yeah, you know, these are higher value targets. Bottom deck into Robin won't do anything for you here. And yeah, I listened to him. I decided to bottom deck the Dadan, and yeah. See what happens here. So our opponent plays the Bonnie, and then he plays the Nami. Alrighty, gets the Zoro, adds it to hand. Let's see what he ends up doing here. So he attaches 3 Dawn to his Robin and sends 5 to leader. And no, so he actually takes it back and he swings 7 at my life. He uses his leader effect, Shambles, and he brings in the bounce Law, bounces out the Bonnie and brings in the Zoro and swings 7 to Zoro, 7 to my leader with Zoro. This leaves him as a total of 0 Dawn, so this would be his last attack. And I counter out with Otama and a Kid, because I know I have 2 kids in hand. So let's see what we end up doing here. Draw 2. Our opponent's at 2 life. We are at 1. Would like to get some blockers on the board, as well as get rid of his 2 threats. That's my main objective for this turn. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So right here, got the 2 Dawn on the side, seeing if I could pump fake him with the Fire Fist. So I bring out Otama, reduce his blocker by 2,000, and I swing 5 into his Zoro with my leader. So just making him, reconsider blocking it, because if he blocks it, obviously taking away his card, taking out his blocker. So he takes the hit straight to his Zoro, and we take it. Let's see, send another 5 to his. I think that card is called Dogma or something. Doguma, Doguma, and I send 6 to his life, and he gives us some counter, and I use Queen to draw 2, trash 1, and I draw the Gordon right there, and I decide to trash it, and I use my leader ability to bottom deck Nami, and from hand we bring in our blocker Law. So looks like we executed on our game plan. We didn't get rid of the Law right there. I feel like if we would have had that Gordon in hand instead of proccing it off the Queen effect of drawing 2, I would have definitely used it to get rid of the Law right there. So he would have been left with that Nami, Jewelry Bonnie, and the Doguma. So that was my strategy right there, but unfortunately I didn't have the Gordon, so this was the best play that I could do right here. So our leader, or his leader, sends 5 to, I believe, our character Law, our film Law, and we take it. He brings out Rush Zoro, and does he attach? Nope, he just swings directly. He's choosing his target right now. We have the option to block with Queen here. Let's see if we end up doing it. He sends 5 to Penguin, and we give 1k. So I guess I'm saving Queen for the finishing hit. I'm anticipating he has, more hits. So he swings, what is that? 8, and we just give. We give away the Penguin, and he brings in Capone, last one, and he shambles to bring in the Restand Law, and sends it again. Another 8, and can we counter out of this one? I think over here I was pump faking that I did have counter, making him think that I was considering it, and no, I take it, and he passes. So we're down to 0 life. Our opponent has 3 threats on the board right now. He has the Rush Zoro, the Blocker Law, and the Restand Law, and we have 2 blockers on the field. So let's see what we end up doing here. Our opponent does run the Rush Luffy, the one that goes through blocker with 2 Dawns, so definitely thinking about that. We can see our hand right here. We got the Blocker Law, Kid, Fire Fist, Sanji, and Otama. So let's see what we end up doing here. I used 3 Dawns for Otama to reduce the Restand Law by 2,000, and then I Fire Fist to KO, because Fire Fist reduces him down to 0, and then if I'm at 2 or less life, that KOs you. And then I send 5 to Zoro. He gives me 1k. Let's see what's going on here. 7 to Zoro, and he gives us the beige. And I use Shambles -3 to bottom deck and bring in another blocker, and then I pass turn. Alrighty. So let's see what we end up doing here. Our opponent is probably looking to see if he can finish us this turn. We have 0 life. We have 3 blockers up, and he does have a Rush Luffy that can hit through blockers. So let's see how our opponent ends up playing this. He sends 7 straight up with Zoro to our leader, and we use our Blocker Law. He sends another 7 to our leader, and we give up the Queen, and he summons his Restand Law to restand, And yep, that was it. I only had 2K counter in hand. Alrighty, so that was it. 2 quick matches against Red Green Law. So yeah, this was an OP-05 again. I definitely used the new cards that came in OP-06, like the Reiju. I added the Hitokiri Kamazo. I added the Shiraya. I added also some older cards. I added Buena Fiestas and Ains, and just worked the ratios. I added some Raise Max as well. I mixed the ratios up a little bit. So my deck now is a little different. I feel like it's definitely better than the past iteration. Obviously, you know, with all the cards that I added. But I just wanted to upload this video because yeah, I felt like it was 2 really nice matches to, you know, be able to look back on and kind of see where I made the mistakes, and hopefully learn from them. And, you know, next time we see Thomas, hopefully be ready and try to get that dub. All right. Thanks for watching, y'all. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what y'all want. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Lights.